We love working in the garden here at Suan Sook Homestay, and we love sharing about what we do on our videos. And this is going to be a bit of a different sort of a series we're starting today on what we do, how we do it, and why we do it, just from the perspective of as we're doing it in the garden. We produce a lot of videos, we love to share what we do, but this series is going to be a little bit less produced and down to earth with a bit of voiceover to talk about what we're doing it and why we're doing it. So please join us on this new series and see a little bit more of the good life we live here in Northern Thailand. Some days it can be quite challenging to get up from my comfortable chair in front of my computer in my air-conditioned office and go out into the garden where it can be hot and humid, and it's not always easy to get up and get out into the garden, but when I do, I always love it. I really enjoy being outside and in nature and working in our garden, and there's just always so much work to do. I have a list of things to do, but I'm always seeing more and more that needs doing, and just kind of rearranging it in my mind as to what's priority, because there's never enough time in the day. I've never got enough hours to really give to the work in the garden, and it really is only a few minutes, and only when I'm sitting inside that I feel that this is a challenge, because once I'm outside, once I'm in the garden, all of that just melts away. Anything that I've been doing previously kind of just disappears, and stepping outside into the garden, this time of the year it's so lush and green and full of life. Everything's growing. You know, the weeds and the grass are growing like crazy, and yeah, sure, that's hard work, but we're also collecting fruit and harvesting lemongrass and things like that, that I'm really so grateful that we can be here and enjoy living life here at Suan Sook Homestay in the north of Thailand. And on this day I was out into our neighbour's land actually. There's a piece of land on our southern boundary it's our long boundary, and it's probably half the size of our land again, so about 1.5 acres I guess, and it has been a longan orchard. But the people who own it live overseas, they're not here, and yeah, we kind of keep an eye on it for them and keep it a bit tidy and make use of some of it too. They've said to us, please harvest the mangoes and enjoy them when they're ripe. Please don't let them all go to waste. So I do enjoy coming out. I have to cut a path through it first though. It gets so overgrown, and as the rains start, the grass just grows like crazy. So I come in here with the weed whacker and clear a path so that I can walk more freely and more easily without tripping over things, or just being aware that there are snakes around. And if I cut myself a path through it, kind of just lets them know that I'm around, makes a bit of a noise, helps me to be able to see where I'm going and see if there's any snakes in the way. I didn't see any over here this year, which is always good, but it's really funny though. I come across here with a basket or a bucket in my hand, and I inevitably think of that scene in that amazing movie Apocalypse Now from a long time ago. But there's a scene where a couple of the guys get off the boat. I think one of them is a saucier. He's been a chef and a sauce maker, and they're going with a bucket looking for mangoes in the jungle, and it's a pretty wild scene, and the guy's talking away about different stuff, and then all of a sudden his commander, his boss who's with him, just stops dead silent and waits, and they get jumped by a tiger. So I'm happy to say that I haven't encountered any tigers on our neighbour's land. It's highly unlikely that I ever will, but it's a kind of a fun memory to think of that scene of them in the movie looking for mangoes, and here I am looking for mangoes. And I don't remember whether they got any. I don't think they did before they got chased away by the tiger. But I managed to pick a good harvest and enough to make ourselves a couple of good batches of mango chutney that is, from fruit that hasn't been sprayed, it hasn't had any chemical fertiliser put on it, it's organic, and it is free to us. So we're very grateful, we're very thankful that we can enjoy the goodness, the abundance of the fruit here. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that nearer the end of the video as well, what else we're doing with it. But it is really great to just appreciate what comes naturally to us and what is in abundance and free to us. And so next up I was planting some cucumber and just getting down into the soil, into our vegetable patch in our garden here. This is the part of our section, I've mentioned this in a few videos, but this is the part of our section that we've really worked on the most, because the soil here was neglected. Our land when we bought it was a longan orchard, and that means that it had had a lot of chemical applied to it, onto the trees and onto the ground for fertilisers and stuff. And prior to that, probably I could say a good 20 years earlier, it had been rice fields. And so same again, because there'd been so much chemical added to it and no real organic matter put back into the soil was just dirt. It was quite dead. There was no living matter, there was no organic matter breaking down in the soil, and therefore no enzymes or bugs or worms or anything like that. I had a local farmer delivering me some chicken manure once when we were first here, and I was chatting to him a bit in Thai, and my Thai language is not fantastic, so it's always a bit of a challenge, but he was understanding me well, so I'm always grateful for that when I get someone that understands my Thai. And I asked him, I said, we don't have any worms in the soil here, and I've been really trying to get some to add to the soil. I think it's possibly because there's been so much chemical added to the land when it was a rice farm and when it was an orchard. And this old chap just said, yeah, of course. That he confirmed to me what my suspicion had been, that there'd been so much chemical build up through what had been applied to the land that the worms just weren't here anymore. And so on this patch of ground, we've been really diligently working to build it up. We've planted nitrogen fixing crops here. We've put so much compost. We've put so much rice straw and bamboo leaf and buffalo manure, and yeah, we've just begun to work it, and it is providing for us. So it's been wonderful to really work at building up the soil in this area and see that it is changing, and that even though we are still adding no chemical to it, it is starting to provide us with abundant crops. In the past tomato growing season, I've had the best ever crop of tomatoes in my tomato growing experience, which is pretty considerable. But it's still hit and miss. I'm planting these cucumbers way too late. They could have been planted in the soil probably at least a week, if not 10 or 14 days earlier. But I've been busy. There's always so much to do. So I'll plant them, I'll get them into the ground, I'll be watering them and taking care of them, and hopefully we'll see them grow and to be able to enjoy the fruit that they're going to build up. And definitely as we work the soil, as we build up the soil, our souls are being built up too. Living out here, coming out here away from the city, away from the hustle and bustle. And I mean, Chiang Mai is not even that much of a big city, and it's not that much of a hustle and bustle. Living out here, we really do feel that we've become so accustomed to the peacefulness and the serenity and the tranquility of being here at Suan Sook Homestay in our garden. And it's something that we definitely had dreamed of, but for me, I could never have imagined really how it's like, and how freeing and how uplifting and how positive it is to be living in this sort of environment, and to be able to come and work in my garden every day, and to enjoy being here with my wife and just our dogs, and in amongst the goodness of life living out here in Northern Thailand. It's something that we are abundantly grateful for. We are just massively grateful to live this lifestyle and have this opportunity to be connected with the world that we live in very, very closely. And so I was just planting the cucumbers. The next thing on my list was to come and harvest this lemongrass that's been growing really well. The reason we're harvesting this is because we've run out of ice cubes. We make this into a juice, and then we freeze it as ice cubes and put it into a glass of soda water. And it is just the most refreshing drink to enjoy on a hot day after coming in from the garden, and to be able to just down a few glasses of this, it's so incredibly refreshing. And knowing that, yeah, again, it's come from our garden, it's organic, it's free, it's certainly got all of the health benefits in it because it's been grown organically. There's no chemicals that are forcing this to grow quickly or forcing it to look pretty. It just is what it is. And because it's a grass, it grows like a grass. It grows incredibly easily. So some of this I'm cutting back and leaving a couple of centimetres of stalk above the root and expecting that this will just take off again. And then other pieces I'm pulling up by the roots, just so pulling it up from around the edge of the clump so they're easier to get these pieces out. And as long as I've still got some good root intact, then they will come away again. So I've got them sitting in water and I'll be planting them out this week because we can never have too much of this. It's a fabulous plant, even if we just chop it and drop it. But yeah, like I said, we do like to use it. We use it definitely to make the lemongrass drink with, but we've also using it in cooking. It's also used extensively in Thai cooking. So it's always great to have some lemongrass fresh from the garden in our kitchen. And I made a video about this earlier, about harvesting the lemongrass and making the juice out of it, and yeah, just shared about how wonderful it is, not because of the money that we're saving, because we can buy a bunch of this lemongrass down at the local market for about 20 baht, which is less than $1. So it's not anything to do with the price of it, but the satisfaction is that we've grown it ourselves, we've prepared it ourselves, we know that it has got all of the goodness, all of the vitamins, all of the goodness in it that should be there because it's been grown organically. And there is a satisfaction in living like this, to be able to plant cucumbers or harvest mangoes or harvest lemongrass that we can enjoy eating and consuming ourselves and enjoy the flavours and the smells and the richness, the goodness that it brings to our bodies. So it sustains us in such a healthy way. And of course, we're super grateful for this. It's really amazing to be able to live like this. And this day and age where so much is convenient, where so much is automated, where so much is, yeah, especially our food is pre-packaged, it's hyper-processed, and yeah, it's, even if it's being sold as fresh, we don't know where it's come from, how long it's travelled, how long it's been refrigerated for, what types of processes fresh food has gone through, the coatings or the treatments it's received to be able to keep it looking nice longer on the supermarket shelves. And so to be able to harvest fresh from our own garden is, yeah, there's a depth to it, there's a richness to it that has got way more to do with good feeling than it has to do with economy or convenience. And certainly, yeah, if you look at the amount of work that we have to put in to, say, prepare the lemongrass drink, yeah, there's quite a bit of work, there's quite a bit of effort goes into that. But to me, this is so satisfying because it's effort that has got nothing to do with capitalism. I'm not doing it to earn money or to save money. I'm doing it for the sheer enjoyment of it because it's going to provide us with a better quality, more delicious, more nutritious drink than we could have done any other way. And yeah, living in this environment, living the way we do, we're very, very grateful that we have this type of richness in our lives. But as I said, there's always work to do. I can't sit around drinking cold glasses of lemongrass and soda. I've got to get the compost turned, and this is a job that, yeah, it gets doesn't get done as often as it should. It gets kind of put off more often than I like to admit. But when I put my mind to it, when I really get my thinking straightened out about it, it's, yeah, okay, it's a chore, it's hard work, but you know what? It's a really good workout. Doing this, I'm working my arms, I'm working my shoulders and my upper body, I'm working my whole torso and my legs as well. And it's not for long and it's not super heavy, but it's just another one of those really good things to do in the garden that helps to keep me fit and to be able to, yeah, do these things where I get a good sweat, and I usually sweat every single day that I come into the garden, whether it's the hot season or the cool season, certainly more in the hot humid season that we've got at the moment. But that's all part of the enjoyment of working in the garden and being here, and to be able to do things like turn the compost, knowing that this is going to be putting fabulous goodness into the soil, and then that soil is going to be producing delicious food for us. So just keeping my mind grateful, keeping my heart grateful, and getting the work done, and having these clear thoughts and these positive thoughts in my head make it so much more enjoyable than if I was just grumbling to myself about how difficult it was, or how it's not as well kept as I should keep it, or that the compost is too dry, whatever. Now I'm looking at it thinking, okay, this pile has been too dry, I haven't kept it watered well enough, but there's a good amount of mycelium in it by the looks of things, so I'll just, add some water, add some of our photosynthetic bacteria to it, because this PSB just really helps stimulate it along. It helps it to break down more quickly and provide goodness for the gardens. Keeping a healthy body and keeping a healthy mind together, it makes life much more enjoyable. And certainly, since I've been living here, we've been here for just over 8 years, and I've lost over 16 kilo in weight in those 8 years. So a couple of kilos a year, it's not too bad for a good physical workout, as well as being good for my soul. And really, it isn't that difficult to keep a positive mind about what we're doing here. And just paying attention and being mindful in the garden of what we're doing, and when I'm turning the compost, looking at the compost, thinking about it, thinking about what we can do to improve it, and keeping my mind on the job and keeping my mind in the present moment is something I really do enjoy about being in the garden. My garden work is also a time of meditation very much for me, because there's no distraction. I've never got my phone with me in the garden. Sure, I'm thinking about lots of things that I've got to do, but the more I can concentrate on focus on what I'm doing, even if it's something as menial as turning the compost, then I can be sure that it's going to have a positive outcome, because I'm focused on what I'm doing. I'm focused on right here and right now, and this meditative approach to being in the garden is something that helps me to regenerate my soul and to keep a positive mind and a positive heart about what I'm doing. And so it makes the difficult things in life seem not quite so difficult. So keeping a focus on right here and right now and what we're doing in the garden, and how it is this attention to detail and attention to the care for the land, and bringing back what was quite severely degraded land into becoming productive garden with no chemicals is extremely rewarding for us. And then later in the week I was back on the neighbour's land again. I'd been thinking more about all those mangoes that I'd seen on the ground, and some still on the trees, and a lot of the windfall ones are just super ripe, they're just rotting on the ground, and I just didn't want to leave them there. So I went back to collect them and gather them up and use them in different ways in the garden. So I've added them to the compost, I've added them to another pile that is a bit of a wild compost just under one of the other mango trees that I've just been dumping stuff under, and continue to abuse whatever we can to build up the soil and to really regenerate the soil. And it's fun to do this. It really is enjoyable. But I do struggle with articulating my experience of what it's like being in the garden and being here at Suan Sook Homestay, and being while becoming very much more at one with the garden, at one with the land, at one with what we're growing. And doing this together with Pansar is always enjoyable. We're not often in the garden at the same time, in the same place, in the same part of the garden. We're usually in the garden at the same time, but we're in different parts of the garden doing different things. But we're often having very similar thoughts and similar experiences when we catch up later on and we share these things together. It's always delightful. And so, yeah, I guess in sharing these videos, I'm wanting to show you what I'm doing in the garden. I'm wanting to show you just the very straightforward work, the very down-to-earth, very menial tasks that I'm doing. But I want to share with you too my attitude and my what's going on in my heart and my soul while I'm doing the garden, because that's the other key part for me. It's not just about enjoying being in the garden, but it's about having a positive mind, a positive spiritual outlook about being this close to nature and how much I enjoy being this close and this intimate and integrated with creation. And so, yeah, I just want to share some of that as I'm showing you. Yeah, this is what I'm doing, which I hope people will enjoy, just to see a bit more of the day-to-day work in the garden, but also just to share what we're doing, why we're doing it, how we're doing it, and, yeah, what I'm thinking and feeling when we're in the garden and loving being in the garden. And so at the outset of this, slightly different style of video, I'm thinking that I'll try and get one up once a week or every 10 days or so, to share the progress of what's happening in and around our garden and in and around our minds and our hearts. And please do leave us your comments below, leave us your ideas, what's inspired you, what's encouraged you, what's challenged you maybe. And if you've got any suggestions for the way we do things here that we could improve, we would really love to start building up the community feel of this channel more and more. So again, thanks very much for watching all the way through.